If Chicago apartment prices seem high right now, you're not imagining it.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
What's actually happening is we have limited available apartments across the city.
Well, one, I think when she says across the city, she really just means a few neighborhoods. All right, so if you don't know me, my name's Jabari Taylor, and I'm running as an independent in Illinois 7th Congressional District. And here are my kind of hot takes on why a few people are loud and wrong about why rent's so high in Chicago specifically.
Why? Well, typically every year, Chicago gets about 3,500 new apartments delivered to the market. And in 2025 and 2026, the number of new apartments that were delivered was basically zero.
Yeah, so when you those like a lot of areas in Chicago have already been built. Like when you build a bunch of apartments inside of homes on top of parking lots, um, I mean, not to be like a rocket scientist, but like there's only so much land area in a given neighborhood. So yeah, you're gonna run out of fucking s- places to move where you don't have any units if you don't control that, which is why there's zoning things. So when people are saying get rid of the red tape, some of that red tape is there for a reason. Not all of it. I think it can be streamlined. But when you have zoning and regulations like that, those regulations are kind of meant to protect the community, especially for things like plumbing, building codes, and things like that. Those things kind of protect the public because it prevents very thirsty, greedy people from just building something and then not putting any type of like thought into it.
However, the demand for Chicago apartments hasn't gone away. So when demand stays strong and the inventory is tight, prices go up and the competition increases. We're basically experiencing your classic supply versus demand story right now in real time. Good news is
Keep in mind, she's like the CEO of like some real estate, like or property management thing. But outside of that, she's just literally wrong. This isn't a supply versus demand, a classic supply versus demand thing. A classic supply versus demand is when there's a shortage of salmon and it gets really expensive because the supply is low. And so the demand just shifts because people can just choose shrimp or they can choose like tuna or something. It's a little bit different with housing because when you don't like renters don't have the ability to buy homes because they're not building homes, they're just building these big apartments that only corporate landlords and private equity own. And the thing with real estate people and property managers and landlords, and when I say landlords, I do not mean small landlords that have like one to two flats or three to four flats. I don't mean small landlords. I mean big multifamily corporate landlords that have corporations, not like you who may be trying to purchase a home and try to make a little money off and make some money from renting to like a renter. I don't mean you if you are a small landlord. I'm talking about the people who have developers and who have these big corporations who don't even live in the city. And the amount of like money that a group of people are coming in, like their yearly income and what the market is. Like they do market data and market analysis and things like that. They're just intentionally jacking up the prices because they can, because it's not competitive. And if they own all these buildings and there's no more housing to be built, someone owns those buildings. So how is it more competitive if there's only a small amount of people who own the existing apartment buildings that are available to be rented? Like it literally doesn't even make sense. Like let's all be so for real. They're really just jacking up the prices and they're taking advantage of the people that want to move to Chicago for whatever tech reasons or
In economics, when demand is higher than supply, prices become inflated. The solution
in economics. The solution is transparency because the thing is that um, landlords and realtors know um, the how much renters are able to pay. That is what drives those supply and demand curves. And in economics, we are what she explained is that we, or what she failed to explain is that in Chicago, our market is basically an inelastic housing supply. So the amount of units that are available for renting does not basically affect the amount of units are able to be built. And so that just leads to the market being unstable and anti-competition and more prices for the consumer. On top of a lot of landlords basically actually push their costs off for property taxes onto the renter, and they also get tax appeals. So if you're a homeowner or a small landlord, when big corporations do tax appeals like they normally do at very high rates, all those tax burdens get shifted to smaller landlords, and to renters. So big corporations moving here and being able to build is actually what's pricing out small homeowners and renters. All right, so my realistic takeaway for renters in Chicago is to push for transparency, push your elected officials and politicians to fight for transparency, learn more about what the actual reasons are for what's driving our housing supply so you don't get caught into the propaganda of blaming regulations or affordable housing, and also just really fighting back against the big corporations that cheat the system and do tax appeals so that they can push their tax burdens onto smaller homeowners, small landlords, and renters.